And today we're going to talk about Moxi Present, and there's a lot of great stuff to cover, so I want to make sure that we're really just thoughtful on going through each step to showcase how to use it, to actually watch me set up how to use it, but also how it can benefit you when you're talking to an existing seller, a potential seller, and also a potential buyer that you might have as well. It's important for everyone to realize with Present is this is a tool where you can actually take your talents, your passions, and diversify with other platforms to really position yourself to be inspiration, motivation, assurance, and guidance. Now, what does that mean when it comes to using Present? With Present, you can be for your potential client inspiration to get their home ready now and not wait because of the marketing potential that Present actually has. You can be motivation to buy their home now and not wait, with virtual ability to see, compare, and narrow down homes from the comfort of their current home. You can be assurance with safety and comfort at the forefront. They can make informed and educated choices, being able to see market data in a way that makes it visual and physical for them to truly make the decision that's best for them. And the other aspect is guidance. Provide support and ability to actually understand the market as it is today, but then also as it changes, whether it's this week or next week, and just kind of how the market changes, allowing them to physically see that with data and to see that visually just helps them to be in control of their choices and to feel really comfortable with working with you as an agent as you're recommending different price changes or different offer prices. And really just makes you the realtor they want to pick because you're really providing a service that they just can't get anywhere else. So let's start at the very beginning. Moxi has a platform of tools, one being a CMA, that can be a seller presentation, it can be a buyer presentation, it can be a buyer tour, but it can also be your own listing presentation, which is a very exciting thing to have because you get to now integrate our tools and what we have in some of the things we have in our listing presentation on bluebook.com, but now integrate that with your own personality, your own videos, your own content to now personalize it and not just have it be just from the company, but now the company into. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing a screen share so you guys can actually see my screen. Perfect. So what we're looking at is actually my Present panel. In Moxi, just for those this is new for all together, Moxi provides a presentation tool, which is Present, Engage, which is your CRM database, and then a website that goes along with it. Now to start, the easiest thing to do is just go directly to my.schmidtresources.com. That's how it's actually going to sign you in to Present. The first time you sign in, you're actually going to utilize your company provided email, which is first.lastname@cbschmidtohio.com. That would be your username. So for example, mine was elizabeth.glass@cbschmidtohio.com. If this is the first time you guys are going to log in, your password is going to be MoxiWorks13 star. So that would be a capital M, OXI, capital W, ORKS 13 with an asterisk. You then can go in and change your password to make it susceptible to what you need and have security measures enforced. So that's how you get in. Once you get in, this is going to be the page that you're on. I'm going to go ahead and try to minimize my chat bar here because it's in the way of what I can see. Now, what I'm looking at is just my simple panel. We're going to talk about Present today, but it's important that we do just a couple really quick steps to enable us to have some basic information funnel through, not only to our presentations in Present, but also to Engage and our website. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to notice how we have this panel right here. Personal info, contact info, web info. And up here I have this location where I'm going to put my photo. So when you first come in for the first time, you're going to click on this camera icon and you're going to upload the agent photo headshot you would like to have showcased on your presentations and on your website. And then to edit everything else to make sure it's correct, it's very simple by clicking on this pencil icon up here on the right-hand side. Now, if anything that we're looking at doesn't show up for you, please reach out to us so we can look at your security settings to make sure you have the abilities that you need. For example, if you are a manager and you can't see multiple offices, we can show you how to have multiple offices so that you can see the tools for everybody in your office. So the first thing we're going to do, we're in the profile section right now. We're just going to make sure the information is correct. For example, is the contact information for email correct? If it is not, you're going to click on the pencil icon to make a change. Underneath contact information, it has your website and email. Underneath web info is actually going to be where the location is housed for your bio. So that bio that we would have had on a previous website or on any type of announcement would actually be entered right here under the About Me section where it says paragraph 1. You're just basically going to click on the pencil icon and then you're going to copy and paste it right in there. And I'll just click on the pencil icon just so you can see the view of what it would look like. It's set up very similar to what you would see in Microsoft Word, making it very simple and easy to use. You can type it in here or you can copy and paste it as I mentioned. This is going to be the hub of where the information pulls from, so let's make sure that information is correct. When scrolling down, I'm able to then also add in social media so that Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever it might be that I have set up, I can actually have now funnel to both my presentations and also my website. So this is the first stop shop of what you guys want to do. Just take a couple seconds, make sure your information is correct. If it is not correct, please update it so that it can be correct on all of your presentations. Now that's step 1. Underneath step 1, which is profile, there is labels here on the side, MLS and offices. The other thing you're going to make sure you do every single, the first time you do this, every single one of you that goes in, you're going to click on MLS. Now, what's really great about this is connected through your IDX feed through the MLS, meaning it's live data information. So if you enter something into the MLS today, it will feed through your presentation immediately. If you make any changes, it's live immediately. So how do we do this? We are going to say, yes, we are an MLS member and click select over to yes. This is what it looks like otherwise. Okay, and just selected yes. Now I am going to go ahead and add my MLS number by choosing the MLS that I'm in for my area. We are in Yes MLS. Easily enough, I'm going to go ahead and I typed in my MLS agent ID and then chose the validate option. Once I've done that, I am now complete with integrating my MLS ID to my Moxi Engage website and present. So that's it when it comes to that section. So very quick recap. When you first sign in for the first time, you're going to jump in, you're going to update your agent headshot photo, clarify the information under personal information, contact information, edit it if it needs to be updated, and under web information, you're going to add your agent bio or anything else really important that you feel that should pull through to a presentation or a website feed. So how do we get into present? Here's what's easy. Our whole platform is at the top, and this is a standard navigational panel that we can access at any time. So for me to access Moxi Present, I'm just simply going to click Present, and it's now going to load me into Present. What's really great here is every time that I create a presentation, whether it's for a buyer or a seller or even my own, it now will allow me to save it as a template to create what you guys are seeing here, this library. These are all presentations I've made, so I can go in at the fly and click on the edit icon, this pencil icon, and update it, change it, and then work on the fly. Or if it's something similar to what I want to use for a different client, I can click on it and edit it live time with new information for my current client. So it just makes it easy for me to access. The first time you do it, it might just have one or two as a potential presentation to look at. Now, what's really great about Moxi is I feel simplistic in use. This is why it's one of my favorite tools, because I am able to come in here and very simply walk through this process of creating the presentation. And ultimately what it does is it talks to our consumer in the way that they need. So just the same way each and every person learns and receives information differently, some people need that data. They need to see that data. Some people need to see the visual comparison and see the home compared to each other. This actually provides presentation in a way that it caters to each mindset of learning, so they can receive the information and be able to work with you and feel confident about using this tool to make the best decision for them. So all I did was I clicked on this Create New button. Notice how I have buyer, seller, buyer tour, and non-listing. If you wanted to make your own digital presentation, you would click on the non-listing button. To create a buyer tour that would showcase several different properties that your client's currently interested in, you would choose the buyer tour option. If you wanted to cater a buyer presentation to showcase what is available in the market based off what they're currently asking for, you would choose buyer. In this particular first presentation test we're going to do, I'm going to show the seller presentation. And the reason I'm going to do that is because right now it caters to a lot of people. I'm going to go ahead and put in here my potential seller's name. We're going to call her Bella Seller, and I'm going to click on create. Now, in our market today, we're going to be able to use Moxi and not stop, meaning the changes that have happened with things being virtual, things not being able to be open or seen quite at the pace we would love to in the past. We now get to fly with our product and still showcase homes and still cater to the seller who might want to put it on the market, but also to those who have it on the market and maybe are feeling a little uneasy. We're going to be able to comfort and calm them with the information and showcase to them what we can really still continue to do for them on a market end. Right when I clicked on that, it showcased this page to me. Very simply put, I just want you guys to just remember that this is a very easy 5-step process. What's great about it being easy is the 5 steps are listed right in order above here on this section of the page. Subject property, search, listings, estimate, pages. So you don't have to memorize anything. It literally walks you through the process in the order you need to go. So it makes it very simple for you. Now here's where it gets really cool. If you are catering to somebody that you are considering being a client, let's say, for example, you reach out to someone on social media or you have a friend or a family and say, you know, I've got this great new tool. Would you mind if I did a presentation for you on your property? You're able to then type in the information, much like you would if you're interviewing with a new potential seller. You're going to type all of the information in their property right here and just continue down the page until it is completely filled out, much like you would have done if you would have plugged the information in the MLS when you received the listing. So that would be if you already don't have the existing information. You can plug it in and then you can hit continue at the bottom and it would then populate your presentation for you. Now, what we're going to do is show you a very cool feature that I love. Chances are, if you are talking to a seller, they probably might have had their house on the market at a previous time. So that would mean that there would be an MLS number that we could potentially pull the data in from. And if you have that, it will auto-populate all of this information immediately, which is a time saver and a wonderful option to have. In this situation, I'm going to go ahead and plug in an MLS number that I already have ready that's currently on the market with one of our agents. Let's take a look at how great this is. As soon as I type my number in there, I'm going to go ahead and hit copy. Now watch how this instantaneously populates all my information. I now have the information for the property, the specs, the sizes, you know, all of the different important relevant information when working with a buyer or seller. It also uploaded graphic from my MLS. So this was an immediate ad and I didn't have to take any extra time. Now, this is a photo in here that's a little bit dark because it's a twilight photo, it's a nighttime photo. So if you do see one in here that you decide, maybe that's not your favorite, what's great is you can actually put browse, upload your own photo, or you can click MLS and grab some other new photos to put in place of that one. So that's it for page 1. There wasn't really much we had to do. In the event you felt like you wanted to add to the remarks here or change any of the information, you're able to do that at any time. We're going to go ahead and click on continue. Step 1, done. Super fast, super easy. Step 2 is the cool part. When you're in the MLS, it does take time to research for comps. You have to look at all of the data in the area, look at the market, plug the information in, and it does provide to you multiple listings in a row, but you individually need to open them up to compare them, to look at the data, and at times you have to print it out for your client and just look at several pages. And that sometimes can seem daunting, and there's just a better way. This is the better way. Instantly, when I hit that continue button, this Moxi Present tool automatically pulled comps for me based off what I had in here from that MLS number. If I was just now putting the information in for a potential new seller for the first time, it does the exact same thing. It is intuitive and it pulls the data directly from the MLS. So what I'm now looking at within seconds is the comps pulled for me for my particular property. So in this scenario, we're going to pretend like my seller had this on the market and it's been on for a little bit. And now because of our market changes, we really want to take a look at our comps to see what's out there, to see what's selling, to see what's still on the market, and maybe do we need to reassess and do a price change? Because that's very possible at this current environment. Maybe we need to keep it the same because our presentation showcases it's strong in the area it's in. Maybe we need to decrease it. So this is a scenario we're going to role play right now. If this was a new potential seller, this would actually just showcase what properties in the area are showing as comps. So it gives them a visual and data analytical idea of what maybe they should A, list their property as, and B, feel comfortable listing right now instead of being worried that this isn't the time to do it. It's going to showcase to them that things are selling and things are active. We're going to go through each slide to showcase that. So on this screen, here's what's great. Just because they're pulling this information for me does not mean I need to have it in here, because as an agent, there might be some properties that you intentionally don't want to select to have in there. So what you get to do is still have control, even though it's automatically selecting for you. By clicking on the photo of that property, I am able to select and choose what comps I want to show up in my presentation, and I'm able to skip over and eliminate the ones that I do not want. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put several of these in here just so we can do an actual comparison that shows several different things: pending, currently on the market, contingent on the market, and active. Now here's what's wonderful too. Because it's intuitive and dynamic, and this is why I love it. We are often doing things on the fly. If you're a real estate agent or just anybody working through their life trying to sell or buy a house, you have limited time. Sometimes you're on the call with them at the moment that you're creating this presentation. Sometimes you're on a virtual Zoom call with them the way that we are right now. Sometimes you're sitting with them, sitting in the same house as them, and creating this tool for them. What happens is we're allowed to then work with them as things go on the fly. If you're sitting there and that client is saying, for example, if Bella Seller says, okay, we're creating this and these are the comps that are coming up, I also want to have the comparable of my neighbor down the street because her house just sold and I feel like my house should be selling for that selling price. But it didn't show up here. Here's the thing, you guys know, going through the market and understanding the value or the market at this time, there's a reason why it might not have shown up. It could have been too large in actual square footage. It could have been well overpriced in a different range because they redid the kitchen, redid the bathroom. But here's what we get to do. We get to appease their comfort and allowing it to be included to showcase to them the idea of that being a comp. Here's how we do it. I can, on the fly, click on this MLS button and jump in here and actually type in the MLS number of that property, and instantly it would then put it now down in here with my comps. Now, what if you don't know the MLS number on the fly? Yes, you're going to have to jump over to the MLS and look that up or do a quick Google search to find out what that MLS number is. But again, that's simple and easy. I would plug it in here and hit that button. It would find it and then enter it into my presentation, which is great. So for this tool, we're pretty much done with it. There's a couple cool features here that help us. This I really love more towards the buyer tour and presentation. But what we get to do now is we actually get to filter by map. See how this is a Google map? It's live and intuitive with Google, meaning if I were to actually click on my draw tool and click quick draw, I am now able to say, okay, here is my property area, but you know what? My buyers or my seller is pretty picky, and I only want to have comps for my property in this area right here, right? They're specific. Now what's going to happen is it's going to narrow it down, and that's not my area I'm in, so it's going to get rid of them for me. But if you're in a specific area that you actually know that you're going to have properties in, it's going to allow you to actually narrow down and pull those out. So let's do it again. I'm going to do draw, and okay, I'm going to say quick draw, and we're going to just try to get this big area in here, but I don't want anything north of that. See how it knocked out a lot of those different properties because it wasn't in that close-knit area. And if you're doing like a community where you really are the agent for that community and you just want to hone in on that community, that's a way that you can filter that. To clear your search, once you have drawn it, if you look at the top, it actually has a clear and exit. I can clear it, start over and do it again, or I can click exit to get out of it. If I'm going to do click on draw again in the multi-draw option, that's great because I get to say, well, I want to be on the north side of town for my comps, and I only want to be on the south side, but for whatever reason, I don't want to be in the middle, it will allow you to create a circle on the top and then a circle on the bottom and nothing in the middle. Radius just allows you to select, obviously, it would let me click on this and select a certain radius and have those properties included. I can then filter it by school system as well. So we've got a lot of great tools allowing us to jump through this pretty quickly, but have true, honest comparables. So let's go ahead and click continue. Step 2 is done, and we really didn't have to do much, which is great. Step 3, listings. This is just you deciding the order in which you want your comps to show. So for example, right now it is listed high to low, but you're able to change it to low to high, days on the market, and this is just the way they showcase it to you. Nothing real specific here, but just gives you a little bit of freedom here. I'm going to go ahead and keep it at high to low, and I'm going to scroll to the bottom, and I'm going to say continue. Now this is what's pulling from the MLS number that you've got in there already, and then it's now going to allow us to compare this estimated pricing at $299.9 with what we have comparable to us in the future slides. So I'm going to show you that in just a minute. But there is a tab here that is located on the left above that says estimated net proceeds. Now in this particular section, you are able to go ahead and fill out your potential net proceeds if you would love for it to show in this presentation tool. Now keep in mind, you have to always make sure when you're doing this that they know that it's an estimate and not a guaranteed, because that conversation is very important, because those things can change and vary from the pricing that you put. Now, a lot of you tend to use something that's already existent, like an app through the title company, and that's perfectly fine. We'd love to support our vendors and use those tools. So if I don't want it to use here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on the hide option, and I'm going to say save. So it's now letting my presentation know that I don't want to have to access that. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here. And now we're going to say continue. Very simply put, we've already gone through all of the pages and we are now on step 5. So we really didn't have to do much. The system worked together with the MLS to pull the data for you. And now we're actually looking at presentation mode. So what we're seeing is the actual layout of the presentation. These are the slides of what are going to show in what order. Why is this important? Well, maybe you'll decide you don't want to have a page on there. And if you say, okay, I really don't want the listing averages, you get to jump in here and click on the X icon right next to the pencil and then click remove. It allows you to take that out. Now, what's cool is every one of them that has a pencil allows you to edit it. So this is cover page. So notice this back cover page here. I'm able to click on that little pencil, which brought up this box. I now can actually scroll down and I can change my PDF cover design and choose a different layout. Now, these are all simplistic in design intentionally, because that is the way that our consumer reacts best to today. So for example, maybe this is a luxury property. This might be a better suit for you. The only thing you need to do is click select, and automatically your presentation background will change. So just a simple little tool, but great to have for those of you who would love to have a little bit of a change to it. I'm going to go ahead and X out of that. Now, here is the ability, again, to have control over your presentation. If I chose to, I'm able to actually click on one of these and move it up or down or move it around based off the way that you do your presentation. Now, you might want all these slides, but some of you already have a flow. You have a dialogue. We don't want to make you rechange everything. We want to work with you. We want to make this just increase the effectiveness of what you're doing and saying. So you're going to come in and say, okay, I actually, based off the way my conversation goes, I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up there, and now it works with my flow. If you're a newer agent and this is a new conversation for you, what's great is all of these slides are going to give you your conversation and give you something to talk about, help you relate when it comes to the market. So it's a wonderful thing. What's really nice is we have an option to add pages. So we can customize this to put our own flair in there. We can add ourselves in there. We can add community information in there, whatever it might be. We have the ability to edit and customize to me, which is my favorite. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do one right now just to give you a quick overview of how to do so. We're going to click on Add Page. If I was going to create something brand new from scratch, maybe the marketing department already created some types of PDFs that showcased me, about me, or already made some things for this property, I'm going to go ahead and create new and add that directly from my computer library in my computer. But what I'm going to do for this tutorial is I'm going to say add from library, because I want you to see what we've already taken the time as a brokerage, as together we worked to get ready for you. So what loads is just, these are the actual pages of the presentation, just like you noticed that we're on the left. What we can do here is we can click on now brokerage pages, and I think this is going to make you guys excited because we have some great content, which is in the black book. We have some great content in the blue book. And many of you had said, I'd love to have this, but I want to infuse me into it. So now you can. So I'm so excited that we can offer this. For you to be able to add pages, all you're going to do is click on blue book pages. You're going to jump right in, and it's going to give you some of the pages that are still relevant for you to put into a presentation like this. Strength in numbers, our Schmidt story would be great, right? Because you're getting the market, and the market's great, but sometimes they really want to know who they're working with as a company, which is why the blue book told such a great story of that. We're just going to come over here, and we're going to click on the add option. It's now put that in my presentation, and I didn't have to do anything further. If I wanted to do an additional photo, I can go ahead and add as many as I want. But if I accidentally click one that I don't want, like I don't think I need Schmidt part 2, I'm going to remove it. And if I feel like I want to look at it first, all I'm going to do is click on it, and it's going to load that page for me. See how I'm now able to get a quick glimpse of that story page. This is just Schmidt part 2 of the story. I can see that, and I can choose to add it, or I can choose to X out at the top, and it takes me back to the page. So to enable you to see it, you click on it. To add it, you choose add, and then to remove it, you're going to do remove. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Okay? So here, that's easy. That's all we have to do to add the pages. You don't have to do any kind of save or continue. It's just already in your actual presentation. Now to go back, we were in brokerage pages. You can click on the icon here that says brokerage pages, or you can click here and it takes you back to where we were, where it showcased blue book and black book pages. That's if you want to continue to add more pages. But if you're feeling comfortable with what your presentation has for content, you're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to show you some other quick things here. Notice my drop icon here under library. I have a little drop down box. If I were to click on templates, it's actually going to load my previous templates. Why would that be relevant? Because maybe there's a page that I put in one of those templates that I just want to grab a page or two of, and I can actually pull from that and do that. So that's all that is. Those are things I previously saved. I'm going to go back and click on the presentation again. I accessed that by the little drop down box, and it gave me a little navigational bar here to get into my page library to add new pages, or I was able to click templates to get into my previously created presentations, or I chose presentation to get back into my main presentation layout, okay? So it added Schmidt story part 2 to the front. I don't want that there. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put it right underneath here. So I'm still gonna have control of the order that it's in. And before I continue, because I've added custom pages to this, I'm going to go ahead and choose Save as Template so that I now will have this in my future library in Moxi to pull from at any time. Now this is going to be a seller tool, and I'm going to actually name this Bella Seller as reference. Clearly you can put the person's name, whatever you would like, but it does access show points to them, so I wouldn't put anything like person with dog or anything like that, which we used to be able to do in .loop to kind of narrow and clarify who it's for. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. It is now automatically in my library that I showed you in the beginning, but to save time, I'm going to keep us right here just to move forward. So that's it. Our presentation was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 easy steps. Now, how do I get this to them? How do I show this? How do I tell the story of the market and to create that dialogue of we should keep your pricing the same, we should change your pricing, and where do you look like in the market? Here are different ways that we can do that. If I click on this view icon, I can choose web, which is going to give me the digital presentation. Maybe sometimes they don't have a computer and they cannot do that, at least they don't have a device that they can utilize it. Maybe they only have a cell phone or something like that and they need to get it printed elsewhere. So they do need in print. They can digitally view it, or they can click on the print option, and it's going to give this presentation to them in a PDF, which is wonderful because now we're catering to the people who can do this digitally. We're also catering to the people who still need it in print. We're not eliminating the service to anybody. We're just adding to it. So the next option is send. I'm going to go ahead and click on this just to showcase how it is. Much like .loop, how it's like a digital document, but you can also include a PDF. We're able to then jump in here and put in the client's email in here. I'm going to go ahead and send it to myself real quick. Now, I get to select this. When I give this to them, is it going to be a digital presentation? My email just went out of there. I'm going to do that one more time. But I can give it to them as both a digital presentation and also the PDF in the exact same email. Of course, I'm going to do that because it just helps people have a service to them to be able to provide however they want to view it and look at it. Okay, so now I'm going to click on yes. I want to send the PDF and send the presentation. I can add my subject into here. Obviously, you guys would want to cater this to your client. I'm just going to say your CMA just to save time, just because we're training right now. Notice at the bottom, you want to make sure this is selected, send a copy to myself so you're seeing what you guys are sending. And when we're done with this training today, I want you guys to all create your own presentation on the property you live in, whether it's a rental, whether it is a house you own. This is going to allow you to then send it to mom, dad, brother, sister, friend, aunt, uncle, whomever it might be, and then you're practicing this presentation with them, giving them, actually, you're going to give them a service of just understanding where their house is on the market, so it's just an added benefit, but you're going to be able to click send to myself and start practicing using this tool as of today instead of waiting for the first time you're doing it with the client. So that was how we got it to the client. If we go in settings under that icon, it's really nothing that you'll ever need to see how it's just for the name of things, so you can not worry about that. But under more, I just want to talk about real quick. If we wanted to create a quick flyer, we would click on this option here. Now, here's something that I love because sometimes we as agents, you guys work together, but you might not necessarily be on a team or you are on a team. So here's how we can be conducive to collaborating. If I say assign to an agent, I'm on a team or a team leader, I can select the agent and then assign this presentation to them, and they now have it in their Moxi, so they're able to utilize creating that presentation or adding to it. So that's pretty cool. Now, I want to work with a potential agent here on this one. We're going to go in together, let's say on this property, or we co-listed it together. I'm going to very quickly add co-presenter. I am going to type in the name of the agent, first name, last name, and then I'm going to do search. It's going to pull from within our office and see how it automatically found Stephanie Martin. I'm going to say add. She's added, so I know that part's done. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit my X button. I am going to refresh my screen, and that means my internet browser. There we go. See how Stephanie was instantaneously now added to this presentation? We are now co-presenters of this presentation. Simple, super quick, simple, and I didn't have to do much. So let's look at it, let's talk about it, and let's go through each page to teach how to create the dialogue for every part of your presentation. Click on the view icon. We're going to click on web. I'm going to let this load. Okay, the presentation is ready. Scroll down to start. Now, I do need to mention that this is device responsive. So the way that we view it here on a computer is going to showcase it in one way. When you select opening it onto an iPad, it's going to digitally change the format to make it viewable to the sizing needed for that. Same thing goes for a cell phone. So we are compatible with however they open it, which is great. Okay, so I'm going to show you a couple quick things here. I am going to move my chat bar. You guys might not be able to see it. Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down and talk about a couple quick things. So we have several pages for this presentation, and I like to be able to be dynamic with my client and work on the fly and have a flowing conversation. And I don't want to have to be wasting time scrolling, trying to find what I need. So here's what helps us. I can choose this icon, see how down at the bottom, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner. If I chose the down arrow, it takes me to the next slide. obviously up goes up, and in the middle, it actually allows me to choose the individual pages that I want to go to. So let's say I get all the way to the bottom and I say, yeah, you know what, let's go back over page 5 again. I'm able to just very quickly click page 5 and get back to that point. So simple things, and that's in addition, obviously, to just using your cursor to scroll up and down. So let's talk about present, and let's go over our actual presentation. Okay, I'm going to go down to page 1. So it talks a little bit about our story. This is what we pulled from the Blue Book, so you get a little bit about us and our story. Page 2, just, it takes a second to load these, mind you. Page 2, this next section, oops, I'm sorry guys, I skipped one page. I went too fast. This is page 2 of our story. We had added that in. Keep in mind, this can be you guys. You can add video of yourself, you can add content for yourself, it could be anything you want. Okay, next page, internet marketing list. Our clients need to see A, where we place them, and B, what we're doing when we're with them. So this potential seller, they're already on the market with us, but we're reinforcing the support we're providing to them at this time in this environment where we are feeding their information to actively support them at the highest level to sell this property at the best price for the least amount of time. So they need to see this because they know the name Zillow, they know Trillia, they know Yahoo Real Estate, they know Realtor.com. They need to know where their listings are going. So this graph is a very important one that you would not want to remove. Next, I added this graphic in from the Blue Book. This is where buyers search for properties. So why is this really relevant? Because if you take a look, how home buyers search for homes right now, this was before the market changed right now with everything. It's online is at 95%. That is huge. We need to showcase them online. Not only did that previous graph show them that we're putting them where the buyer's looking, we have this new presentation tool that's going to cater to the buyer online in the way they need and how they need. So let's take a look at the next slide. So the first slide here with the breakdown is property summary, and it's just a summary of the property. All of this pulled from the MLS. So this is my Bella seller's property. This is just a recap. Now we're going to go down to the next slide, and this is getting into the nitty-gritty of what I think is really cool about this and what makes it a game changer for today's market. What it's doing is it's now listing all of the comps that we've selected next to each other, side by side. Basically, you know, this is the simplest way to view a CMA. We are now looking at the property. Each and every one of these allows me to click on it and go into that property, see where it's located. Okay, so that's the great option with that. I'm able to go into each and every one of them personally on the fly, right with a click, on any one of these pages, and I'm visually seeing them connected. But I'm also now connected here with a map of Google, which is live, meaning we are able to now see where the properties are located. So as a seller, I'm visually understanding the story of this property is this much, this one's this much, but guess what? This one's like way over here, and it might not be exactly in my same market, right? So it helps them to make that determination in that discussion with you about how they compare to the other houses on the market. And the same goes for a buyer. If this was a buyer tour, which is set up the same way, or a buyer presentation, they would be able to look at these properties and say, gosh, you know what? I love these properties, but man, I love this side of town. I really think this is a far stretch. So maybe I'm going to focus just on these. And when I'm circling that, notice how I can actually click on it. And if I clicked on this directly, it would actually now highlight the property it is. So I'm able to connect the property right where it is on the map. So super, super cool. Next, I'm actually going to go click down. I'm going to try to run through these because I want to show you a buyer tour before this presentation is done to show you how they can really help themselves in today's market. So this next slide is listing averages. This just showcases the homes averages of what's on the market, and it breaks it down in a visual and analytical way. Okay, then we have listing overview. So it's just at a very quick glance showcasing this one sold, active, contingent, and pending. And each one of them is clickable. Next is my favorite slide for seller presentation, buyer tour, doesn't matter what it is. This is by far the most important slide, to my opinion, because I am now catering to the visual, right? Visually, I'm able to click on this property and walk through it, go through the virtual tour, see the inside of the property. I'm able to visually analytically look at the comparative market right next to each other. So here's my property. So as a client, I'm Bella seller, and I'm looking at it saying, okay, well, you know what? My property's at 2870 square foot. This one's a little bit bigger than mine. It's sold. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to very quickly look at my solds and I'm going to look at my pending. I'm going to say, what do they have that I don't have? Maybe I need to update something. Maybe I'm overpriced. Maybe I'm underpriced, guys. I mean, sometimes that even happens at some points too, based on how the market fluctuates. So I'm visually catering to those who need to appeal to them to be able to make that decision in that way. And I'm able to click on it again. Again, you can click on it. It goes right through here. Notice how the virtual tour that's through the MLS is connected. So I'm not taking anything away from them. They can still walk through the property virtually. I'm able to visually give them all the data that they need to compare it and make an actual decision. It's one thing for a realtor to say, listen, I love your home. I think it's got a great value to it, but this property is a little overpriced. And here's my big thing with that. A person is connected to their property financially and emotionally and physically. So they might know it in their mind, but emotionally it makes it hard for them to distinguish, I should price drop it because that's the way the market needs it to be versus what I put into it to make this my family home, right? Now we're actually not telling them the story of the market. They're understanding it for the first time. They're seeing what is comparable immediately without having to dig through like 12 different MLS papers that are printed out. They're now able to say, okay, you know what? I really feel like I might be a little bit overpriced, or maybe I'm in good position. So you're basically empowering your client to make a decision that is the right one for them in that market. Next slide is status comparison. So at a glance, you're able to see the two that sold, two that are pending, and one that is active. Why are they pending and why are they sold compared to yours? What do you need to do? I'm able to go in and click on those and get into those properties. Okay, so next, price and days on the market. This is big because, again, visually, things make more sense sometimes when we just see them. You can hear them, you can know them, you can have people say, well, this is the market, it's a buyer's market, a seller's market, but this visually showcases what's really happening, live data. I'm going to hover over it, and you're going to see this property was on the market for 51 days and sold at 404, right? And this is my comp. But yet, if I click way over here, my property's been on the market for 419 days, 299. I mean, we're seeing the story here that we really need to look at the adjustment of the property, see what's lacking here to potentially do a price increase, because that is a huge difference. So I'm now not appealing to hurting their feelings and saying their house isn't worth it, what they think it's worth. I'm just telling them the reality of the market, and they're learning it for themselves. So they're making that decision along with you instead of feeling like you're just making them do it. It's a big difference in how they feel you are supporting them. Next, same thing, price and size. So this graph just showcases the price of the home versus the size. Okay, and I'm going to continue to go through the rest of these pretty quick. This is one of my favorite. I know that word Zestimate's in there, and Zillow is like a no-go for most realtors, but here's my opinion is that clients know Zillow. They know Trulia. Those are what they see on TV. So they feel a rapport with them. They feel a comfort with them. Instead of making them leave your presentation, leave your website, and leave your resources to go check out what they have to say and then potentially get in with another realtor or look at other properties without you, you're then taking what they feel is a resource and merging and collaborating with it, and now showcasing the real story of what we as agents in real estate know is that it's not always right with Zillow. Here's what it shows. It's showing that this particular one sold, this property sold at $12,000. It was $12,000 different. So it actually sold for 404, but the Zestimate was 416. So that number is huge to showcase to them because they don't understand that Zestimates come outdated from your website, from your MLS. You're first, you have the updated information. They have outdated information, and it's not correct. So you're not saying like Zillow's the bad guy, they suck, we're great. You're actually collaborating with the same tools and showcasing that your system is more accurately pricing it than if they would just go off a comparison through Zillow. Now, I have seen these be just $500 off, but I've seen them be $20,000. So this is a huge tool in my opinion. Next, pricing analysis is just the data that we've already looked at, just displaying it in a way that they can see very simply, easy. And then the next one, got rid of that page. Just that first page that I showed you when we started, remember how I showed you where to put in your biography? It pulled it in for me. So this is my me page at the bottom of my presentation. It puts a little bit about me, and then it has my contact information. And because I then added Stephanie as my co-presenter, see, it automatically pulled it in for her. Now, during training purposes, we don't have a bio in for hers because we're utilizing hers to be doing that with trainings, but it would have pulled that through as well. So that is my presentation for a seller, dynamic, catering to analytical mindset, catering to physical, you know, the need to actually see the presentation and give it to them in a way that is a whole new aspect of understanding for them. I'm going to go ahead and very quickly, I am actually going to go back into my present, and I want to go back to my home page because I want to show you where it saved what I just did. I took that presentation, see how it is now in my library. I just clicked on present at the top, which takes me back to my present homepage at any time. I now have that whole presentation I just did under Bella Seller. If I were then to go ahead and click on the pencil icon, it's going to let me jump back in and see how I'm right back in my presentation. Instantaneously, I can now jump in. Watch this. This is one of my favorite things. I'm actually going to jump to search because now all of a sudden, my seller wants to add new criteria that allows me to have a different type of home featured as a comp. Or if this was a buyer presentation, they would all of a sudden say, guess what, I found this home on my own and I think I want to consider it. You're able, under the search option, see how this was page 2, this is where it listed all the comps. And if this was a buyer tour, this would be where it would list all of the properties similar to the one that we were looking at. You can actually jump in here and you can actually add another MLS number like I showed you, or I can do filtering here where I click on the filter option and I can now add condos, I can now add townhouses, or manipulate any of this information like you would if you were in the MLS, now searching for that new type of property to compare to yours. So I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. Now all of a sudden I now have townhomes in here and I have those properties now available as in part of my presentation. So it's automatic and it's live. I don't even need to save anything again. That will be there. So that's a very important feature that I think is very relevant to both the buyer and seller tool because you know you work with them. They're on one perspective. Then when they start to understand the market or see what's available, their perspective does change and they now consider price drop. They now consider going on the market because all of a sudden they're seeing, hey, guess what? You just showed me that houses like mine are selling. They are going on the market and people are buying them. So I'm now not as afraid in this current environment to sell it, to go forward. This tool is also allowing as a buyer, which I'm going to show you right now with our last bit of time. I'm going to show you a buyer tour and how we're going to cater to them at a high level right now, not only in our current environment, but going forward, just to maintain comfort and to really help you and them hone in on what's really important and not be doing the tours where you're looking at 50 houses, because they're doing that because they don't understand what's out there or don't see it in the right way. So this is what we're going to do to help them visualize and see it in the right way. I'm going to go ahead and click Create New. This time I'm going to do a buyer tour. The reason I'm doing a buyer tour is because it's so similar to buyer that it just has an extra element now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say continue, and I'm going to say this time it's going to be for Bella buyer. We're going to click on create. It's going to now give it to me in the same way it was before. Now, why is this really super cool? Because we actually now can in real time navigate them through this tool from one property to the next. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in here 15380 Pearl Road. I'll start off our starting location. See how the Google Maps automatically already finding it for me. I'm going to type in Strongsville. So this is going to be your buyer's starting point, right? The home. And this is optional. You don't have to do this part if they don't want it, but I think it's super cool just to add one more service and one more neat thing to help them. Okay, so we're going to set our location. Okay, I'm going to do continue. Now for our buyer tour, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, at this point, we've already done our search for our client, right? We've already said how many bedrooms, how many houses, and we've really honed in verbally what they're looking for. So I'm going to actually plug in my information through the buyer tour or put in an existing house on the market, because a lot of them are like, I like this house, right? Like there's a certain house that they have an interest in. So I'm going to plug that in. And if this was the buyer tour, what would happen is it would actually then give me multiple properties. So then I could really narrow down and utilize it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. Now I'm going to add in, let's see. I have another MLS number. I actually had another one in here, but it's not going to let me pull the other one right now. So let me jump out. Let me make the buyer tour real quick first, and then I'll showcase this one to you. I had one saved in there, but when I was just in there, I don't think I saved the template because I was rushing. So let me show you something real quick. We're going to go into buyer first. The buyer tour is essentially what you're doing after the buyer tool. When you're actually in the buyer presentation, it's exactly the same 100% as the seller presentation tool. So, wait, I'm sorry, typing and talking at the same time. We're going to make this one Bella Buyer, like that. Okay, so let's really quick create our properties, and then I'll show you how it works together with the buyer tour. I'm going to very quickly plug in my MLS number since I already know the property that she is interested in. It's going to plug in all the information, and I'm very easily able to jump down here. I'm going to do this pretty quickly for you, right? We have this option now too. If I wanted to plug in the address of where I'm starting from, the buyer tour is exactly the same as this, and we are almost done showing you with all the good stuff. Okay, Strongsville, Ohio. So we've got our starting point, set location. Okay, now I'm going to run through here very quickly because you've already seen me do this for the seller tour. Now what it's doing for my buyer as it's loading, it's not only finding the property that I'm telling it that my buyer wants to see, it's finding the similar houses, exactly the same as you would if you're looking on the MLS trying to find comparables of houses you want. So I'm going to be able to jump in here, say, oh, we want to have her look at this one, this one, this one. As an agent, you might know this one has something wrong with the foundation. It's a bad one to look at. So I'm only selecting, again, exactly the same way, the houses that we want. And in the event that I'm doing this for my buyer and she changes her mind and says, I know for sure, I told you I did not ever want to walk through a townhome, but now all of a sudden I do, because you know that happens. I can click on the filter option and I can jump in here and I can click townhouse, which now allows me to include it. Okay, so we're again live action. This is like I told you before, if the buyer on the fly gives you a property, you can add it in through the MLS number. Again, we can use the map by circling the areas that we want to make sure these properties are in. So again, exactly like the seller presentation. Now this next option just takes us through what order we want to see it in. We're going to leave it in high to low. And I'm going to run through here because you've already seen this. Same thing for estimated pricing. It's exactly the same. See how our buyer presentation is exactly the same? I can jump up here and add a page, custom page. I can manipulate my photo cover. I can change the different order of things. I'm going to go ahead and save it as a template real quick, which is what I tried doing last time and I didn't do it. Okay, so Bella. Now this time we're going to call her Bella Buyer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hit save. And let's take a look at it real quick. Same options apply of how to send it, etc. Adding person to it. We're going to quickly click view. Okay, I want you to take yourself in the mindset of a buyer right now. You can be giving them MLS listings. You can have them on a feed through the MLS, which is great. But they need to be in a property to want to buy a property. They may be hesitant to go to a property and be fearful, even at times, to walk through that property. So now you're going to virtually take them into properties in a way that they wouldn't have the ability to visually do it and narrow it down. You know, a buyer can start off with 10 properties they like. Right now, you can't walk through 10 properties. Well, you can, but it's not recommended, right? We need to really, to effectively cater to our potential buyer, to do them the best service, we need to listen to them. We need to find the best comps for them, and we need to take them through virtually as many properties as we can before the actual time comes to actually do an actual tour of the home, okay? We're really keeping people safe. We're providing to them a peace of mind. Your conversation with them is that their peace and their comfort and safety is priority. So we're providing the service to them as a way to be an accelerating factor in our market to help them not stop their life. They need to have a home. They need to put their child into a bedroom. They need to do this. So we are a very big game changer right now for people in our environment. So here I am. I'm a buyer. I'm loving all these properties. Do I want to go through every single one of them? If I'm going to buy it, yes, I do. But do I need to? No. We know in this market that when you go in here, sometimes comparables can really make you realize that even though you love a property, it's not worth going to it because it's not priced properly. It's overpriced. And maybe you want to talk about negotiation before you even think about going to it. So visually, I'm able to now compare my properties one by one visually. I can click on it, go into the virtual tour from the MLS, get that walkthrough. I'm now able to say, oh man, you know what? I really liked this property over here. See how this one's way over here? I really loved it, but I want to be in this area. So visually, I'm helping appeal to the people that need to understand by sight that a house that they would want to go see is out of their area, and let's not take that 40-minute drive or hour drive because it's going to eventually result in them not wanting the property anyway. So that is a wonderful, wonderful aspect there. We're keeping people safe, okay? So again, it's just a listing overview, and it does keep in some active and sold and pending. That was just because of the property I picked and the way I filtered it. Yours is obviously going to show you actives because you're going to select that in the filter that only have actives in there. When we were setting it up, that filter icon. So here, imagine being a buyer and you're saying, okay, now I like all of these properties. I'm going to give you a scenario really quickly here that really impacts why this is powerful now. We actually have someone in the family who's younger, he's 20, he wants to purchase a home. We walked through the home with him a couple of weeks ago, and immediately I knew, and the person that was there, they knew that property, like we didn't even have to say it, I knew it was $30,000 overpriced just from being in the market and seeing it. That potential person was actually trying to make it work because he said that was all that was on the market and like that would what they'd have to be settled for. But the reality was, no, that was a bad investment. You cannot buy this property because it would not be conducive to you. And as an agent, it's your due diligence to make sure you do the best thing for the family, not just for the sale. So here's why this helps. Okay, let's say this was that property, right? And this was the one he's looking at. If he's looking at comparables to that property, even in the same price ranges, which is what I connected for him, I created for him using Present, I was able to show him a comp to that house, which was $30,000 less, okay? And then I pulled another one here, which actually was a price at the exact same price, but the quality was like twice as good. So renovated, it wasn't as downscale. And now all of a sudden, visually, you're saying, oh, okay, actually that one is super overpriced because you know what, this one's comparable, but look at this one. Look at my square lot footage here, right? 10,000 versus 5,000 for the same comparable price. Like that's a big difference. So visually, I'm now helping that buyer cater down and get rid of the crud, basically get rid of the filler houses that they just look at because they're anxious, they're excited, and they just want to go look at houses. That's just not the thing to do right now. We need to make sure that for the seller that's selling the house that we're asking to vacate during that time, and that for the buyer, we're utilizing the most efficient time and ability and market knowledge to make the best decision. So I'm analytically seeing what these houses compare to each other while I'm visually doing it. And if we're in this market, which is really exciting, I can click on it and I can click to see the virtual tour. But the way that we're working now, we can actually, we're talking about doing, working with the seller to actually do like live streaming with a potential client to then actually do a live stream of their property to walk through it. There are ways we can have our seller actually walk through with the camera. We just posted some of this on schmidtresources.com. We're going to continue to train on it. We're talking about doing it now but how that buyer can walk through that property with the seller, and not even pre-recorded, even doing it live, and they can see the kitchen, they can do that, they can walk through live with the inspection company, and they're actually doing all these things virtually. And now I'm not looking at all these houses. I'm like, okay, not this one, not this one. Now I've narrowed it down to 2 or 3. Let's start getting them involved in doing a virtual tour, and then let's talk about going into the property itself. So we have now eliminated the extra waste of time that it can definitely happen to a realtor, where you're bouncing around to so many houses, honestly, because they don't really truly grasp the market, because they don't see it analytically and you don't see it visually. But now we're also helping the client feel like you've just provided them such a time saver that was safety in their aspect, that it makes you like a resource that's just uncomparable to anything else. Excuse me. So that's why I really, 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 truly see that our tool right here that we're using, Present, for a buyer, a seller tool, even the buyer tour, is just a game changer. Let me go back up to that slide. I'm going to show you the one difference between the buyer tour. In the buyer tour, when you select on that option, it's going to do it exactly like this and showcase all the houses. The only difference is it now takes the 3 houses or the 4 that you want, and it allows you to plug in the starting address. So like, let's say they start off at the company's Strongsville address on Pearl Road. It will actually, using Google Maps, so imagine they're on, they've got their phone even connected with them, or their iPad too. It's going to navigate them with directions live on Google Maps from property A to property B to property C. And it's going to give them those driving directions. So here's what happens when you're looking at 4 or 5 properties. You're now able to start at property 1. You're in your tour. You're clicking on the photo, right? So you're able to click on the photo on your phone. You're now walking through the house. If you're there in person, driving, you're going to say, okay, this is what this property has. Then it's going to navigate you to the next house, where you then can click on the house and then look at what that property has. So you're really just intuitively, dynamically working with the live MLS to provide them with everything that they need to know to make the best informed decision in a analytical and visual way, which is just unprecedented. I know that word's been used a million times, but it's just a very big tool that we had this. We are not just creating this. This is something that we're going to now allow ourselves to be enabled to keep powering through, to continue to be the best service we can be. This is how you can be inspiration to get their home ready now, and instead of waiting, because they see that they don't have to be scared to be on the market. Motivation to buy their home now, because they can see and compare what the market looks like, and they can actually visually see a home in a way that they might not have known before. Assurance that you're going to give them safety and comfort forefront, to give them the most data and give them the most educated choices to help make sense to them. And then guidance, just to truly understand the market, so that they know they're not only making the best choice in that property, whether it's a sale price or a property itself, but they also are making the best choice in having you as a realtor. So that is a really good comprehensive overlook of how we use Present in a couple different ways. And I'm going to jump over here. See if I can get my chat box. If you guys have any questions relevant to the usage of it, how did I do something? Can I go back in and show you something? If you guys can throw that in the chat box. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys do that. I'm going to pull my chat up here. I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. So if you have any questions, go ahead and add in. Again, my homework for you is to really get in and play with this. I mean, see how many I've made now. And the first time I made it, I felt like it was pretty easy, like a good walkthrough. And it allowed me to just go from one step to the next. And then what happens as a potential, even if you're a new agent, those slides, they give you what to talk about. So you don't even have to feel as apprehensive when you're talking to your first client, because it's giving you the data. Everything you're in, everything you're looking at, you literally get to, as I'm in my presentation here, I mean, I'm hovering over it. It's telling me what to say. The top of the map of each page tells you what it is. So this is giving you the dialogue. This is actually not only teaching your client about the market, it really is teaching you guys about the market tool as well. So if you could today, within the next couple of days, I ask that you make a presentation for a seller. I would love for you to do either your own home and then provide it to somebody else And then you can ask them to do just a little conversation with you, just like you are a client and an agent, just practice. I love doing your own home because it's kind of cool just to see what your value is and what your comps are. But if you want to, I would love for you to also then reach out to a family member and say, let me do this for your property. A, they're going to think it's cool. B, they probably have, you know, it would be a great distraction right now. And then C, you never know what that can actually lead to them understanding that maybe they should actually go ahead and do their property now. In addition to that, I want to encourage you guys to look at social media and continue to showcase this and show what you can do or post these on your social media pages, because there are people out there that are looking for your help, and you just need to let them know that you're available. Don't sit back and wait, because people right now need a home, and we want to make sure that you are providing the best service they can. So on that note, if we don't have any questions, I feel comfortable with us being able to kind of wrap up here. Quick overview, we were in present. We started off with our basic profile icon setup. And what we did when we logged in, the initial sign on is my.schmidtresources.com. We updated our information in personal, contact, and web. We actually clicked on MLS. And then you updated and added your MLS number to make it connective to the MLS number. For any future help, I'm going to tell you exactly where to go to get the best service outside, obviously, of us as your Moxi ambassadors. If you click on support.moxiworks.com, it is a full inclusive hub that has a huge range of videos and PDFs with step-by-step tutorials. So I love to actually encourage you to go to support.moxiworks.com. Click on Getting Started, and I'm going to show you very quickly how this can be easy for you to get more help on the fly. It's broken down into Present, Engage, and Websites. Watch what happens when I click on Creating a New Presentation, which is what I showed you today. What happens is I now get this introductory video, but right here at the top, I can have a download how-to guide. So it's literally step by step by step. See how it's now pulled it down onto my computer? And I get to have step by step, we've got ready for you, inclusive of screenshots, so you can actually now go through and individually start creating your presentation with this printed out or up on your screen the way I have it, if you need to visually access it in that way. Now I'm going to go to the next screen. If I go back to where I just was and I had downloaded that PDF, watch over here. For those of you who don't want to download it as a PDF, you don't have a PDF viewer, but you also don't want to print it, it's actually going to literally step by step write it out right here, exactly the same as it is in the PDF, but now virtually showing it to you online. See how I'm not moving? That's not me moving that cursor. That's a pre-made video showcasing you what to click and how to do it. So every single step of the way is available to you when you are creating a presentation through Moxi Present, when you're getting your Engage set up to set up your CRM and work with your systems to start marketing yourself, and also with your website when you start getting it set up and created. I hope this has been helpful and informative. On that note, I want to say thank you to all of you as agents and even managers, because your time and effort right now helping people really is so important right now. I feel like you are a game changer. This whole point we're doing this is because home is what families need right now for safety, for security, and for peace. And it's just wonderful to know that you get to be the one to provide that for them, and that we as a company get to be the one that are enabling people and empowering people to still make that choice. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And then if there are any other questions, definitely feel free at any time to reach out to me and ask any questions. We have so helpful, thank you. Sorry for my voice, guys, too. I'm kind of losing my voice as I talk a lot. But it says, so helpful, thank you, great class. Thank you, guys, I appreciate that. And for further support, I'm gonna be saving all of the recordings of every class that we're doing. And we're gonna be making a great virtual library for you on schmidtresources.com. So you're gonna be able to access our training at any time. And then I also see in here, awesome tool, great class. Thanks so much for your time. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for your positivity and attitudes as well. Good luck. And if you want any suggestions or prompts on who to reach out to get some of this stuff, definitely reach out. I typically tend to be pretty creative and give you some good wording to reach out to people that you haven't done before. So just get out there and do it. Right? Why not? You don't know who you can help until you try. On that note, stay safe. I hope you guys all remain blessed and have good, wonderful days and continue using all the awesome tools for keep that we've got here at Coldwell Banker. Okay, guys, thank you. Have a great day.